Oh yeah, this is AMD
stuff.
The Lee & Lee Unifan SL-V2 refreshes one of the most innovative fan designs we've ever seen. The completely redesigned interlocking key provides improved radiator clearance, while the 28mm frame provides 10% better airflow compared to V1. Interlocking fan frames allow for clutter-free daisy chain, providing the cleanest cable management possible. Available in black or white, the Unifan SL-V2 can be purchased either individually or a 3-fan starter pack, including everything you need to get started. To learn more about the Unifan SL-V2, follow the sponsored link in the description below. So presumably, today is December 8th at embargo lift day for unboxings. Obviously, I'm filming this prior to that, so that's why I say presumably, but that's when we were told the embargo was, and that's when this video is going live, and that's that. So what I have in this box right here is a 7900 XT and 7900 XTX. What's in this box? I have literally no idea. So we're gonna unbox this today. We're gonna see what the packaging looks like. Typically, AMD would provide us retail packaging, just like NVIDIA does. So this would theoretically be if you bought the I don't want to say reference, but they don't call it Frontier Edition anymore. If it's just the AMD branded one, this theoretically is what you would get. So I'm gonna start with the light box here. It's very light. It's a CPU. So I just want to make sure we had good CPU to be able to review it, or what? It is a 7900X. I didn't know that was coming, so thanks. I'm on vacation. This unboxing is just because I didn't want to, I wanted to see it, okay? So let's talk about vacation real quick.
You came back from vacation to
I did. I actually left for vacation and came back before I really leave for vacation just to do this unboxing. So that leads me into the next segue here, is the fact that Phil is gonna actually be handling the testing and comparison with the other cards and doing the on-screen review. So do me a favor, show him a lot of love, give him some likes, and be nice to the guy. I can tell you right now, he is as much as a GPU guru, like enthusiast as I am, and if it sucks, he's gonna tell you that. And if it's awesome, he's gonna tell you that. And we have the 4080 and 4090 and 6950 XT and 6900 XT to really give us some generational comparisons to decide whether or not this is one worth looking at. Now the cards are damn near identical from the outside. I mean, one's a 7900 XT and one is a 7900 XTX. These cards are the actual retail samples. They are the closest thing to retail you're gonna get. More than likely, this is the first retail production run, which is typically how these cards come. That's why there is no UPC on either of these boxes, because these are the test runs to make sure all tooling is perfect. Theoretically, it's exactly what the consumer will get. It just does not have consumer UPC codes and stuff on it yet. But what we took a look at in Vegas was pre-production sample. They were like the most up-to-date engineering sample. So like the 7900 XT had a red PCB instead of a black one because that was just, again, an engineering sample. The backplates on them, or not the backplates, but the IO shield that has all the inputs on there were like chrome, and they said that was gonna be a different color. They said that there might be some tweaks and changes to it, but for the most part, what we saw back in the beginning of November was as close to retail as the engineering sample was gonna be. So I'm curious if there is any differences here. I'm gonna start with the 7900 XT. Remember, this card carries a $900 MSRP, $899, and the 7900 XTX carries a $999 MSRP. So $1,000 versus $900, still not cheap. Look guys, I'm in the camp of computer. I wish everybody could have, you know, a $5,000 PC performance for 500 bucks or less. I understand 100% what it's like to try and afford these parts. And although this is exciting, it's not gonna be until we get down to that $300 to $400 price point that really much more masses can afford, are people gonna get excited. So it's gonna take some time to get down there, but preliminarily, and this is just having it through a little birdie, this card attacks the price point of the RTX 4080 because of the fact that it is rumored to really trade blows with it. However, it's $200 cheaper and $300 cheaper than that card. Okay, so here we go. We're ready for the actual Welcome to the red team, the new standard of high performance gaming. It's got a little foam piece here that touches on the card. What I love about these cards already is just the fact that, you know what? They are just really stuck in there. They are just regular old size cards. They're just regular. They're nothing giant in terms of size and form factor. The 7900 XT is a little taller. We'll show that in a second here. It just uses two 8-pin PCI Express standard cables, no 12-volt high power or anything like that. The backplate definitely looks cyborgy. It's got like this really cool cutouts and stuff. This looks very space aged. It's got the same 3 red stripes right here, which I said was very like BMW to me. Like this is very M power kind of a deal. Now, in terms of lighting, I can't power it up for you today, but the Radeon symbol on the horizontal side lights up white. I'm presuming they're RGB. We didn't get to see that in Vegas, but I think the previous ones were also RGB, so we'll see once we finally get to power these up. And then there's white LEDs right here that form an X on the face, so if you're going vertical mount, these light up white. Again, hoping that you can change those. The only thing I'm not a fan of are the red accents. The same on the heatsink as well as on the back with the red here. I got some minor, it's not enough red to just really take away from your system. And if you had like lighting in there, it'll really sort of flush out the red anyway. But I talked a minute ago about whether or not this card can even come anywhere close to the performance of an RTX 4080 and its form factor of this being just a straight up standard size card of roughly what, 11 or so, 11 and a half inches, which is like the standard PCB height. Look, it's not even really any higher, maybe 5 millimeters, 10 millimeters at the most higher than the bracket itself. It's still a 2 1/4 slot card, so it is a 3 slot card because it encroaches in that slot. But the form factor versus this guy at $300 more, the 7900 XT is looking like a really fun card. I mean, look at this. Size doesn't always equal better. But in this instance, I think NVIDIA really was like, pull out all the stops and just put the 4090 cooler on a 4080. But it's a challenge to fit that card, especially with the way that the power plug is situated and whatnot. So it's nice to see a standard size card at those performance levels. So I'm really excited to see this thing in action. See, AMD's always used, I don't know what it is with their PCBs versus other brands, they always have the brown edge of the PCB. Now this is the side that faces the motherboard, so you would never see that. And they fixed that on this end by having the backplate actually hang over the edge. So you don't have to see that. There are so many times back in the day where ugly PCB edges, which are usually like a beige or like a slight green kind of a color, because PCBs, even if they're black layer, have the tannish layers in between, I would Sharpie that. Then I would just end up having a black with a slight coppery looking shimmer to it, which is also terrible. But now you don't have to worry about that because the backplate hangs over the side. 6000 series was the same. But anyway, the box, I love this kind of box because it's not just a box, but it's also, look, this is probably very bougie for anyone to even consider this being a plus, but the box itself makes a great display for the card. That only really comes in handy by the time this card is obsolete and you decided to upgrade your card, and then you can stick it in here and then just be like, I'm gonna display it by my PC, you know? Realistically, most people would probably have to sell this card to fund the new card. But if you keep the box for whatever reason, you could put it on display like this. Or if you were to water cool this card, you could put the cooler in here and have that on display. We've done that before, but the box design is pretty nice. The other thing you get down in here, under this little flap, is just some of the warranty information and stuff. So when it comes to connectivity though, we have two display ports, one HDMI and one USB-C. Now these aren't just standard display ports. You'd probably be used to seeing HDMI 2.0 and DisplayPort 1.4. However, this is HDMI 2.1A, which you guys can go look up the total spec differences between 2.1 and 2.1A or 2.0 and 2.1A. But let's just basically say a ridiculous amount of bandwidth. Potential cap of like 8K, 140 FPS or something crazy like that, which is way more than any card can supply to this day. But it's about future-proofing the port for future performance. And obviously that's gonna be way ahead of the performance itself. So just pointing that out there. But DisplayPort 2.1, which also for the same reason has a huge spec lift in terms of bandwidth through the port itself. So that's a future-proofing thing. Just thought I'd point that out. Let's go ahead and take a look at the XTX. It is a heavier card. It is probably gonna be a thicker card and more than likely a taller card. Ugh, actually heavier than you would think. So I'm assuming everything in the box will look exactly the same. Yes, it does. But, you know what? Typically we do the smell test in a box. And we've said before that, oh, it smells like a shoe store. It smells like a leather store. It's like always like, it smells like Jensen's jacket, right? This, it smells like a new car. They should absolutely bottle this as a cologne. Look, race car guys, they would buy a cologne that smells like race fuel, burning tires, and brakes, right? This, tech guys would absolutely wear this. Yeah, it's just so refreshing. It's that new electronic smell. Oh yeah, no, it smells like Lisa Sue's AMG. I don't know what she drives, but yeah, it's a nice smell. I didn't even notice that. This one's easier to grab though because this one's a thinner card, so it sort of stayed flush in there, but look at that. Is this other box defective? Hold on. No, this one doesn't.
That's what the extra X is.
That's where the $100 went. So in terms of length, these should be identical. Nope, they're not. This one is like maybe just a few millimeters longer, like maybe 5. A little bit longer. And it's a little bit taller, as you can see there, right? So you can see it's a little bit taller. And it's the same thickness. So that's nice, because that means it's still a three, you know, they like to call it 2.15, 2.2, 2.5, 3, 2.75 slot. You know what? If you go into the slot neighboring it all, it's a 3 slot. Let's just start calling it what it is, because it's about what it occupies. Anyway, the form factor, you could fit this in just about any case. Any small form factor case, any mid tower, obviously a XL tower. Subtle difference though. On the front, you can see you've got this sort of a polished black, piano black piece around the middle fan. Doesn't exist on there. You can also see, if you look at it this way, underneath those polished piano black pieces, there's an LED light right there that goes and connects to where the X would technically be. So this one here has lighting where the X is. This one has lighting that kind of goes all the way along the edge like that. So the lighting is not identical between the two. So they are 2 different coolers. They did not just go with one cooler to the other like NVIDIA did. So that's nice to see. They are a single BIOS card. There's no additional BIOS. It has that temperature probe on the rear fan. So this was something that I know that Steve had talked about a little bit more detail. If you look down through the rear fan, you'll see that there's a little PCB piece that sticks off and it's got a temperature probe, and that is temp sensing about the air temp entering the card. If your environment's just hot, before you even start up the game, it's already gonna be warm air in there just with your PC being powered on. So that sensor will sense the temp of the air entering the fan, like an intake air temp sensor on a car. And so it can ramp up the fans faster and earlier to keep the GPU from getting heat soaked right away, which is gonna keep your turbo or your boost clocks up, and it's gonna keep your FPS up. So nice thing to see on that. I haven't seen that before on any card, and that was something that we saw for the first time on the XTX in Vegas. I guess now what we gotta do, just like we did with the 4090, how I showed it couldn't fit in the Landcool 215, I guess we'll see how these 2 cards fare. Obviously they're gonna fit. So first up, the XT. The XTX. This might seem like a really silly thing to do, but you'd be surprised how many people, even though we have a video that has, what, 3 million plus views now showing how custom RTX 4090s were not fitting in a standard case like this, a mid-tower case. The amount of folks I've seen up on Reddit and said, I bought my card and it doesn't fit in my case. Damn it, that sucks. And it's like, you know, if only there was a 3 million view video telling you it's not gonna fit in a standard mid-tower case. In fact, even the standard 4080 will fit in here, barely. Jeez. It barely fits, but it does fit. If you're trying to put a front rad or something in there, it ain't gonna happen. However, the standard Founders Edition will fit because it's the smallest of the 4080/4090s. So just to point that out. But anyway, moving forward, I'm going on vacation. Or I went on vacation and came back to do this unboxing. So like I said, be nice to Phil. He's got a lot riding on his shoulders. No pressure there, man. But anyway, we have one thing left to do in today's video.